Hey guys, welcome back. In this video, I'm gonna do a walking tour around my new lift with the 911 on top of it, as well as talking about some exciting things in the pipeline at Auto Amateur. Let's go check it out. Well guys, my quarantine haircut is probably coming any day now. It's got to that point where the hair is touching my ears and I just cannot stand that. Also, my ducktail here, or whatever you want to call it, my Tintin, my Elvis is like seriously getting out of control. So I think Ruthie's gonna have to give me the shears. She's been offering for like a week now and I've resisted, but like, it's just doing my head in now. Anyway, welcome back. It feels like it's been a while since I did a video. It was like a whole week ago, maybe? That's quite a long time for me. What can I say? It's been busy. But I've also been busy plotting and scheming the next kind of wave of videos that I'm gonna be doing. Trying to figure out how to sort of make the most of the downtime that I'm getting, or at least the time I'm getting in the garage, let's put it that way, during the lockdown. So first off, a lot of you have been asking about my lift. In fact, a couple of you have already bought this lift. So good job for you guys. Let me know if you get stuck with the install or anything like that. I know at least 3 people now that have pulled the trigger on this lift, which is awesome. It took about a week for the additional hockey pucks that I needed, or at least the Porsche hockey pucks to go into my jack points. I had 1, of course, because I'm used to working with a floor jack. I now have 4. So I can now lift up, oh, my GoPro's beeping. So I can now lift up the car, without damaging the underside. But a lot of you have been asking exactly how it functions, how much height I get, practically what it's like working with it, and how is it safe? What are the sort of safety features? So let's jump straight into looking at that. And then towards the end of the video, I'm going to talk about a couple of exciting things, some collaborations I'm hoping to do in the next few weeks, as well as a brand spanking new project, which, can I give you a quick preview? There it is. What is that? What is that? We're gonna find out later. All right, so first off, let's go and take a walking tour around the lift. All right, so a scissor lift. What is a scissor lift? Well, it is 2 pieces of metal, essentially, that sit underneath the car on one side and the other side. They're connected together, and as they rise, you can see this X-shaped configuration, which pushes the lifts up to a certain height and then brings it back down again. So, they kind of look like a pair of scissors, sort of, on each side. Now, with this particular unit that I bought from Toolots, it comes with a command console or operator's console, whatever you want to say over here. The functionality is pretty straightforward. We've got a safety switch on the side. So when I twist it, I get power. Green tells me that I'm ready to go. When I'm bringing the lift down, especially the last few inches, this gives a beeping noise, just to, essentially stay alert. And then we've got an up, a parked, and a down. And then inside the cabinet itself, do I have the key handy? No. There is just a tank of hydraulic fluid there, basically, with the motor. And then underneath here is the circuitry that sort of, powers all of this functionality. This version is 120 volts, just sort of, it works from a typical outlet. For the exact same price, you can buy one of these, which works with a 240 volt switch, which I have over on the far side of my garage, over there by the heater. underneath the heater. But I decided not to use and not to buy for this because I was going to have it over here and I don't have that kind of power out of the wall. Now in hindsight, because I've tripped my breakers a couple of times, I think it probably would have been sensible, because it's no extra cost, for me to buy the 240 volt unit, which still works with 120, but you can also operate it from 240. So maybe in hindsight I should have done that, but it's still working absolutely fine. And then down the bottom, we've got this this netting essentially that goes around the wiring harness and goes around the hydraulic lines to keep it sort of all bundled together. Connects to the side, and really that's as simple as it is. You connect it up on either side, you plug it in, and then you're kind of good to go. Now underneath, like I mentioned with my hockey pucks, underneath the jack points, I have got my hockey pucks, which are going to prevent any damage from the underside of the car. And I'm not sure if you can see, but just down there we've got sort of one there on the left, just sort of by the door. And then there's another one towards the back there you can just about see. Now, with this particular model, you've got the ramps on the end, which can stand up in place if you need the support. With my Cayenne, I need to put both of the ramps up like that configuration, so that the jack points have something to sort of sit on. With the 911, I've got the two jack points at the front of the car sat on the ramp extensions, and then at the back of the car, I'm not using them because the hockey pucks are nice and clearly sort of in the center of the main area. Now, I can just about squeeze the car onto the main lifting space, but there is like 0 degree for error. So this is going to balance, the ground is flat. I'm still going to be able to get the car up, but I am using one of the side of the ramp. So I do need to put those ramps down before I drive off the platform. But other than that, that's all you need to do. I'm reversing the car onto the platform. I then put in the hockey pucks, or you can do it the other way around. You can put the hockey pucks in first. You get a little bit more easier access. Reverse back over, boom, you're in place, and then we're good to go. So now, let's get this thing off the ground. All right, so we're just gonna go straight up. We're not gonna take it up a little bit and then a little bit and a little bit. And as we go up, you're gonna hear it click. And as it's clicking, it's locking into place. And I'll talk about the security features once it's completely up off the ground. But I'll talk about that in a second. Let's go ahead and get it off the ground first. There we go. So let's come out and see what that looks like. There we go. That is the 911. That's the 911 completely off the ground. So we've got about 39 or 40 inches of space from the bottom of the ground to the top of the red platform there. And then with the hockey puck, you can see that we've got like an extra inch, maybe 2. So, comfortably speaking, we've got 40 inches of ground clearance. You can see the wheels are just, hanging off the back. Pretty cool to see like this. And then we've also got the wheels hanging off the front. And that's it, it's up and off the ground. So let's talk a little bit about how this thing sort of fits together. Now that this is up off the ground, it's not going anywhere. I mean, let me just, give the give the platform a good rock here. I mean, it's really good, really stable. As it was going up, you could hear the click, click, click. So in the middle here, on each side, where the red bars are, this is where one of the security features is. So as the power is activated and I push the up button, the solenoids click in and lift up the red bar. And then as the platform goes up, it clicks into place every couple of inches. So if the power was to suddenly fail, or the hydraulics was to suddenly fail, and the car essentially was in free fall, the most it's gonna go is an inch down. And it's gonna basically click into place wherever it's got along the grooves, which, and along the track that go from left to right. So now that it's up there, it's gonna stay there. In order to bring it down, when I press the down button, it's gonna actually bring it up another half an inch to take it out of the safety groove. And then the solenoids are gonna kick in. They're gonna lift up the red tracks, and then the hydraulics are gonna help bring the platform back to the bottom. And it's really nice and slow. It's a very kind of controlled release. It's certainly not quick. And I think, maybe for the impatient mechanic, that might not be, useful, I guess. But I think, safety is the most important thing here. And the fact that it doesn't go down too quickly is pretty cool in my book. And then we've got a maximum lifting capacity of 300 kilos, which, if I'm not mistaken, is 6,600 pounds. I need to double check that, but that's the max load capacity. And it's enough to get my 911 off the ground, obviously. And it's also enough to get my Cayenne off the ground. But that looks pretty awesome. Now, my gimbal here is losing power, so it keeps, it's not tracking properly. So I'm sorry the camera is jerking around a little bit. Now, in terms of sort of usable space, let's actually get the stool out and check it out. So, pretty soon I'm going to be working on the air intake, and that will require me to take the bumper off, and I can easily get to the screws here, and I can get here, and I can even get inside the engine compartment a little bit. And then sitting down, I'm working on the exhaust. If I want to get to the oil, to change the oil, clean the underside, I've got pretty good access. And then of course, if I wanted to get a mechanic's dolly and go underneath, then I can do that as well, of course. Now, let's bring it down. And hope that I don't trip the power. So here we go. So I pressed down, you saw that it went up slightly first to get it out of the groove. Now it's slowly releasing. The hydraulic fluid is going back into the system, or out of the arms there and back into the tank, back into the reservoir. Now this is going to take us down almost all the way, but it's going to stop. And then we go into a controlled descent for the last sort of 5 inches. And to do this, I push the park button and down. So that's it for another video, guys, or at least that's the main subject of the video over. That's how my lift operates. Hope you found it useful. For those of you that have been asking questions, I certainly hope you guys found it useful. So what's next? Well, now that I've got this working on the lift, I've got some of the maintenance DIY jobs that I can do this week and over the weekend. I'm going to be installing a backup cam, which is going to work with my Joy Auto Apple CarPlay device. I'm going to be putting in some K&N high flow air filters while I've got the bumper off, I might as well do that at the same time. I'm gonna do a 6-month review of the Joy Auto CarPlay device itself. A lot of people have been asking for that, so I'm gonna talk about how I found the experience so far. Is it stable, performance, all of that good stuff. And then through a podcast and a separate video, I'm gonna talk about Project 996. As you may have guessed from a hashtag like hashtag 996, I am gonna have a project. I haven't quite figured out exactly how I'm gonna pull it off yet, but my plan is to essentially rebuild, retrofit, and completely customize a Porsche 996. And for a couple of reasons. One, that's where I started off. I started in this game about 4 years ago with a 996. I still love the 996. And as far as a project car goes, financially, that's probably the best place to look. I'm familiar with the mechanics, I'm familiar with the interior and the exterior now enough. There's a lot of similarities with the 996 and 997, so a lot that I can bring over from the 997, my learning there, into this project. And it's gonna be fun. So it's gonna be a whole series of videos. It's not something that's gonna turn around particularly quickly. I need to find the car. I need to source the parts. I need to figure out how to put it all together. I'm gonna be learning some jobs that I've never done before. Putting an engine in, stripping an engine potentially, cleaning it, rebuilding it. The transmission, which actually is sitting behind me. This is a 996 manual transmission. It's gonna be really exciting. So basically, I am gonna Magnus Walker the bollocks out of a 996. And you guys are gonna be along for the ride. And once I'm done with it, I don't know, maybe I'll sell it. Maybe it'll be a track car. I don't know, but it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a sort of separate series of videos for people who really like projects and people who really like the kind of technical side of maintaining cars and refurbishing cars. And it's gonna be a whole lot of fun. So I am definitely gonna be looking for favors, for advice, for decisions on paint colors and interiors and mods and all that sort of stuff. It's gonna be a ride, pun intended. So that's it. Check out for more videos coming soon, a podcast on Project 996, podcast coming up with Soul Performance products, hopefully in the next week or so. Michael Bath, if you're watching, we still need to make our podcast, Mr. Porsche Cooled, and all of that good stuff. Take care, guys. See you in the next video. Bye.